Hey guys, and welcome to the inaugural podcast of the Pickle Juice. So this is the very first episode. Super excited to have somebody on today that I've known for a little while now, and actually not too far away from me down the road in Bratislava. I've also worked in Slovakia for quite a number of years during my career as well, during my time at Exponia. I've got Bo on, who's the founder of Deal Harvest and SaaS Garden, but I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown in terms of... So Bo recently exited the role of CEO and co-founder at Kontentino, which is one of the fastest growing tech companies in Central Eastern Europe, and completely bootstrapped social media management SaaS. So he's got over 8 years of entrepreneurial experience, and most recently, as I just mentioned there, he's founded SaaS Garden Studio. On top of that, he's also founded Deal Harvest, which is a LinkedIn social selling agency. Bo's a big fan of meaningful innovation without bullshit and buzzwords. Love it, man. And is passionate about good fluence and green tech. So I want to drill into that a little bit as well, Bo. But first of all, thanks for coming on, man, and thanks for being the first guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited to be here.
sure. When we were putting together like the concept behind this podcast, right, we wanted to make it a bit fun and a bit like easygoing and chilled out, right? And this is now, we're now past 6 o'clock in the evening here in our side of the world. So I said we'd pour ourselves a little drink and I'd say cheers, and looking forward to a good chat as well,
Yeah,
mate.
cheers.
Cheers.
Let's do
Mm.
it.
So I've actually got it. Before we start, I've actually got a very funny story about this glass, right? These glasses always impress people, right? So if you see that, I don't know how well you can see it, but it says James Bond 007. Ihre Majesty, im Geheimdienst, Ihre Majesty. So that is Her Majesty's Secret Service, right? So when that film came out in the 70s, my wife's
Okay.
granddad was head of PR for Ford, and after he died, or years that after he died, I was cleaning out the grandmother's place, and I came across like, I don't know, hundreds of these glasses. They're super nice whiskey tumblers, as like promotional presents from Ford back in the 1970s. So I've got like a full wardrobe of
Nice.
them downstairs. They're super nice. Anyway, enough about that. Bo, tell me a little bit, mate, about your time at Contentino. And I know you stepped away there as CEO like recently enough. Tell us a little bit about that. What drove you to do that decision? Where was your head at?
Okay. So, I mean, the time in Constantino was great. 7 years. Great people, great team. We've got some great recognitions. So it was amazing journey. But for the past 2 years, in me being in Constantino, we started to have disagreements with the co-owners. Simple as that. So they wanted to have a different things than I wanted to have, and I don't know if I can or want to dig much into details, but it was a very, very tough 2 years. I think that not only for me but also for them, and we decided like, okay, this is not going anywhere, and it's a pity. It's a pity because it took a lot of my energy and focus away from the business per se. And these kind of conflicts are happening. They're very common in businesses. I had the chance to experience that. So, I mean, everything has I always try to find some silver lining, and it was a great experience when it comes to negotiation. And I had the chance to test out some negotiating methodologies and practices. I read the books, and I had the mentors and consultants and mediators. So tough 2 years, a great experience, but a part of that, I mean, Contentino is, I believe, a success story in our region. So
Absolutely, man. I mean, hearing that, like, I fully get it. 2 years is a long time to be putting up with that type of conflict. I would imagine it's probably not, it wasn't always conflict, perhaps, but I know from personal things that I've been involved with career wise that trying to be around that just makes me miserable, and trying to stick at it and so on, like, is burnout central for me at least. I don't know how that is for you, but how did you manage to keep your mind on top of it?
that's a good thing. Like the first year, I thought that I can handle it just by myself, and it was stupid. Uh, so then I decided to seek for professional help. I had a coach, I had a consultant, I had an advisor, I had a lot of great people. I got myself surrounded by a lot of great people. So that kept me sane. But still, what I am kind of disappointed on myself is that I was not able to focus at the business as I should. and I believe that we missed some opportunities. We actually got quite interesting offers to be acquired by a few companies. It didn't work out. So yeah, and that was one of the reasons why we split and why I left, because we had different ideas of how we should sell the company, for how much, and with what kind of equity split, let's say. So that was the main reason of the disagreements. Like the cap table was broken, and the potential buyers have seen the broken cap table. We were trying to fix that, but it was like, there is plenty of fish in the sea. Like, why would we deal with a company with a broken cap table? So
That's a
yeah,
very
yeah,
important point, actually, on the cap table, man. Because I had a conversation today, actually, just a couple of hours before this, where I was speaking with a CEO of a very, very early stage company. They're still trying to find product market fit, but they've had pre-seed funding, right? And they've gotten quite a bit of pre-seed funding, so they've spent millions to get to this point, and the cap table is just a mess as it stands right now. And before they go into another round, like he's immediately like being like, okay, well, we need to do something about the cap table.
and
Like.
this is very common in Central
Mhm.
European and Eastern European region, the broken cap tables, because we've seen it in Slovakia, especially, that you've got VC funds backed with European money, and the valuations of the pre-seed and seed, the post-money valuation of the pre-seed and seed startups were so high that when they were supposed to reach the A round, the it was impossible to raise that kind of money with such kind of valuation, and the cap tables were already broken. And this is a mistake of the investors as well. They don't understand, like, if they're going to take a big chunk of the equity at the beginning, just create more problems in the long run, in the future, because you need to have the table clean to raise more capital in order to grow the company.
Yeah,
And this is what the old-fashioned investors or old-fashioned business people, especially in our region, don't understand.
that's the
They
thing. I
read,
mean,
yeah.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I've got a feeling that they rather own a big chunk of 1 million than owning a small portion of 1 billion, right? This is just a metaphor, but someone told me that if someone don't know how to do the divisions in math, they don't know how to multiply stuff. So
This is fair. This is a very fair point, and it's probably a bit of immaturity in the market in that case, right? VCs that are based over this side of the world don't have as much experience as VCs based out of the States, for example. The or even out of the UK for that matter, right? So the more mature markets that would be used to receiving funding or giving funding, they'd be well rehearsed in this. But also you've seen a massive boom in startups in CE, so Central Eastern Europe, in the past 10 years max, I would say. It's probably
Mhm.
not even 10 years, right? It's probably seven, something like
Well,
that.
I think that the boom was like 7 years ago. Now it's kind of slowing down, I would say. But yeah, like the startup environment, I would say, is 10 max 15-year old,
Yeah.
right? So I can say that I'm the OG of the startups, and I was
Ah,
in startup industry only for 8 years.
shit, man. The OG of the Slovak startup scene, man. That's it's interesting. So when you were at Kontentino, where were most of your customers based? Were they global or?
They were global. We've got, now, if I remember the numbers correctly, but I know that 35-40% of our customers were based in Belgium and Netherlands. They were the strongest markets for us. 15% was North America, US, Canada. Slovakia made, with Czech Republic, made something around 20, 25,
Okay, home
and then it
market.
was rest of the world. But yeah,
Okay,
but the Benelux was very interesting market for us.
that's super interesting as well. That Benelux was. Did that just happen out of chance?
It was a coincidence. The first clients we acquired through Facebook ads. Like that time, you could target very nicely
Mm,
on
mm,
Facebook.
mm.
So we were targeting social media managers on Facebook, explaining them, okay, this is your problem. we got the solutions with a snap of a seconds. Like these videos had less than 6 seconds, and it explained the problem and immediately gave you the solution. So it was working much better than the Google ads, for example, because with the Google ads, you were competing with the players like Hootsuite with
Yeah.
unlimited budget. Plus, we had a niche. Our niche was that we are not social media tool or calendar. We're a social media tool where agencies and their clients can approve the content before it goes live. So this was our value proposition, and no one was searching in the Google that I want social media management tool where I can approve content with my client, right? They were searching just for social media management tools. So we were losing that game. But on Facebook that time, we could literally just target these social media managers, explain what we do. We basically played the note of their problem, and they liked it. And therefore, we were trying every single market in the world. We were just experimenting. Like, okay, let's try Brazil right now. Let's put their 500 euros or 1,000 euros. Let's try Germany. And Belgium started to kicking off quite fast, then Netherlands, and then we had quite a big presence in the end. There was a strong word of mouth the past few years. I'm not afraid to say that we were the top of mind tool, social media tool in Belgium and Netherlands.
Awesome, man. That's an awesome feeling as well. It's like, yes, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And plus those countries are great. They are reasonably tiny, so you can
Hmm.
very quickly penetrate them. They are very innovative. They have, I would say, they're wealthy, right? They have the budgets, and yeah, I love these countries when it comes to business
I mean,
for obvious
Benelux.
reasons.
Yeah, well, Benelux has been on the up and up. Like a lot of when I had first started in tech, almost 15 years ago or whatever it was, it like they were always on the radar. They were normally managed out of like the UK market, for example. Would also somebody from the UK would also focus on Benelux and Nordics normally. But in the past couple of years, what I'm seeing now is that they have their own dedicated sales team now that are based in Benelux, right? And that's just or Nordics for that case, right? But let's just focus
Mhm.
on Benelux, and that's just going to show that they're becoming much more mature markets. And also, it's interesting. There are also quite a number of VCs, or a handful of not quite a number, a handful of VCs that are coming out of places like the Netherlands that are getting involved in large exits now as well. So if I think, say when I was with Leadfeeder, we worked with a VC that was based out of Amsterdam, and they made an exit with Leadfeeder when Leadfeeder and EchoBot merged together to make Dealfront,
Mm.
right? And they made quite a significant amount of cash out of that, I believe. So, but interesting. That's just on the topic of VCs. You mentioned before that, or I've seen in your profile at least that you've mentioned that Contentino were bootstrapped. But were they fully bootstrapped, or was there around?
I would say we were fully bootstrapped. Like we were spin-off of an advertising agency. So basically there was an advertising agency called Triad. They created this internal tool for their internal needs, and they were like, okay, let's try to sell it to other agencies. And there was competitors. They were already competitors in Czech Republic. They had two competitors, like direct competitors. And for some reason they decided like, yeah, let's give it a try. And then I got involved, and all of a sudden, I was lucky that it skyrocketed. Uh, but yeah, it was a spin-off. They invested around 200K, maybe 150 before we break even, and ever since we were profitable and cash positive.
So that is bootstrap, man. That's not that's I wouldn't even 200K investment at the beginning. That's bootstrapped. That's definitely bootstrapped. That's nice, man. That's a really nice result. And that actually those companies, although you need to be tight a lot of the time, there's not and I've only been in more recent times at one of those types of businesses that are funding their own growth, right?
Mhm.
And companies that fund their own growth, it's a different type of business. It's a different type of vibe within those businesses. They're not wasteful by any means, right? I think we've been very, very wasteful in the tech space, in like with so much money floating around. Like if I think about the amount of money that we wasted on a number of organizations that I was working with. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, just wasted, right? When
Yeah.
you're with an organization that's working in that type of style, like every penny counts. Like really, and
Yes.
I know people say it, but you don't quite really appreciate it until you're in it. Like everybody's looking at every single fucking penny that's being spent, right? And if you don't get a return on something, people are asking questions, right? Which brings in a different vibe, but it makes you think. Like every
Yeah.
single little penny that's being spent, you're like, oh shit, can I spend that? Should I spend it? Like, yeah, it's a different vibe.
And also you have a really big push on sales because I've seen that funded, especially pre-seed, uh, funded startups with a pre-seed, they are stuck in their product. They're so in love in their solution. They don't think about talking to their customers. Like they are breaking the basic rules of building the business. They just are hidden in the cage and building their product without talking to customers and trying to sell. When you are bootstrap, you are selling before you have the product. Literally. You are partly you are combining it with a human powered services, and then you have the you are making custom software for them just in order to get some cash and trying to replicate it custom software so you can resell it to other customers. It's a completely different game than when you are VC funded.
Absolutely, and the I think the lines blur a little bit between who's in sales and who's not in sales because everybody's selling. Like you've got the CEO selling, you got the CTO selling, you got everybody involved in deals. Like people are going out networking. Like it's a
Yeah,
different hustle, you know. You don't
yeah,
have any dead weight or any extra fat, right? It's super lean.
yeah.
And honestly, if I compare those companies, so if I side by side comparison of companies that have been funded that are at the same stage or at the same revenue as the company that I have in mind now that I'm still working with that are self funded by their own profitability, the amount that like the success of the one that's self funded is much higher than any of the ones that have been VC backed. And the motivation is much higher. And the point of view of people, the motivation internally, people happy to work at the company, etc. They feel like they're working for something, right? Whereas in others, it's just bloated, and people are like, "Oh, somebody else will pick that up and do it," or like, I hate that mentality. Like that drives me fucking nuts. That mentality, oh, somebody else will do it. No, just do it. Just let's get on and get it done, right? But yeah, no, super interesting. Let's move on a little bit, mate, because I'm wary of time here as well. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing at SaaS Garden.
All right, so SaaS Garden is a studio where we are building marketing and sales SaaS businesses, SaaS tools with the help of young entrepreneurial talent from the region. We started, it's going to be a year. We have three projects there currently. Two of them are generating MRR already, fully bootstrapped. At the beginning, we were trying to get a very tiny pre-seed to just accelerate what we are doing. But since our mentality is not really the VC funded startup mentality and we are bootstrappers, also the nature of the business was not so excited for the angel investors. We decided like, okay, we are not, why would we do it? So we decided to go fully bootstrap and we praise what we live and yeah, it's slow. The beginnings for the bootstrap companies are super slow because you don't have the budget. But in the long run, the success rate it's higher at the end. So so yeah, depending what do you define as a success, but there are more. We build more sustainable businesses. So yeah, that's the SaaS Garden Studio in a nutshell.
What's your plan with SaaS Garden? Like, what's your vision for it?
You know what? My vision is to build at least three bootstrapped SaaS companies with over 2 million in ARR with the most talented and great founders that I can find. I want my motivation there is to give these young entrepreneurs an opportunity to learn and fail fast so they can build a great companies. So I'm not going to be there the one who is going to build these companies. I'm going to help them at the beginning, get my hands dirty, but my role there is to find these entrepreneurs, unlock their potential and talent, give them the tools, give them everything what I've learned over the past 8 years, and help them to build a successful bootstrap. We are not aiming to be, of course, if there's going to be a unicorn, why not? But I want to be realistic. Like, I want to build a sustainable, profitable bootstrap SaaS businesses.
And that's the difference between what you're talking about and what VCs normally. They are now more concerned about profitability and so on. But the classic VC was always burn and grow at all costs. Burn,
Exactly.
burn, but grow, grow, grow. We don't worry about anything we leave behind in the mess or the chaos behind us. We'll cash out then at some point. But that's not the issue with that. Is I read a very good book a couple of years ago. But shoot, it's about so I'll tell you what it's about. It's about a guy joined HubSpot early on, right? That was that brought on as their head of content. Okay, and it was an absolute disaster. Nobody was prepped for him, but he came from like a very good background. He worked, for example, at like a tech review. He was like he was like chief editor of Tech Review or something in Wall Street or whatever, right? So he came like this like huge career behind him, and then wanted to get into tech. He lost his job at Tech Review, and basically what happened was he joined HubSpot, and then he was just like another number, and he just basically started reporting on all of the craziness that was happening at HubSpot early on, right? And one of the things he was talking about was like the problem with these VC backed companies is that VCs are like, think about it like a relay race, right? That like at the beginning, you've got a guy sprinting, he's handing over the baton. That's somebody going from one round to the next. So you got seed to Series A to Series B, C, whatever, right? And everybody's looking for this like IPO or whatever it is at the end of it. But at the end of it, quite often what happens is something changes externally in the market. And basically you're the guy that just took the baton at Series C going over to Series D, and then the ass falls out of the market and you're left with no money. Right? And it's just not sustainable. Like there's just not enough money going around to sustain this economy, right? And all it is just passing it down, down and down and down and down until it explodes. Right. And it's like it's very interesting how he put it in that book. It's called Disrupted by Dan
Disrupted,
Lyons. Disrupted by Dan Lyons. And that's how he described it in there. And that like clicked the thing in my head where I was like, yeah, it makes sense, right? So fully on board with you with the bootstrap thing, man. That's really interesting.
And that's why it's a SaaS Garden. It's not a SaaS launch rocket whatever spaceship.
SaaS bonfire.
It's just a SaaS Garden. We are going to sustainably grow a SaaS businesses with the young founders, and we will, since we want to make them profitable, it will be self-sustainable ecosystem where we can start new SaaS businesses and try out new innovations there without the external capital. That's the main vision. So we can do it in the long run. So we will not, of course, there might be some exits along the way, but it's not our main focus. The good exits comes with healthy, and right now a lot of companies who are acquiring businesses, they look for profitability, not only for the growth rate.
Yeah.
Because in this economy, you want to see these EBITDA margins as well.
Yep. 100%. SaaS Garden, man, like, I'm going to talk to you outside of this because it's something I want to get involved in, man. If you'd be interested in having me, I'll be definitely interested in getting involved somehow. Let's have a chat. Yeah.
Sure,
but,
definitely.
Sounds really cool. Okay. And then Deal Harvest. Tell us a bit about Deal Harvest. So this is another venture of yours, because we were just speaking before this and you were like, shit, which one do I push? We push them all, right? So tell us about Deal Harvest, you know?
Yeah, so Deal Harvest is the newest venture. I launched it in February, and the main motivation to launch it was that we needed some cash cow, right? So the way how you can generate very quickly cash and revenue without spending a lot of resources to build a software, to start an agency. You have some kind of know-how, you can instantly deliver. So we sit down with my co-founder and we were thinking like, okay, what are we really good at right now? Where's the trend? Where's the need? Where's the demand? And I was always fairly good in LinkedIn. I got a lot of business directly from LinkedIn. I've got a lot of help from LinkedIn. And we decided like, okay, I had a ghostwriter in the past in Kontentino. We were trying to do social selling in Kontentino, but I was missing the methodology there. I was missing the push. So we created a very simple three-step methodology, which consisted that B2B tech companies comes to us with a goal of generating demand through LinkedIn, with a goal of generating leads, conversations, engagement. So we 100% outsource the content creation of the thought leader. Let's say it could be you. You don't have time to write your content. You're inconsistent. You just don't have the strategy behind it. We do it for you. We create content on your behalf. So you become a thought leader, subject matter expert, and you build your presence. Uh, the second step is, okay, now you create a content for your audience organically, but you might have 2,000 followers, but only 5% of them might be your buyer's persona. So what do? You run ads. So you sponsor this content you create on your personal profile to the very specifically targeted audience, and you massage them. You massage them with the content so you are becoming top of mind. And this is what we hear from a lot of our clients, that when they go to conferences, some random strangers comes to them and like, yeah, I've seen your content, North Star metric, right? Or they just pinpoint some keyword what they've seen. So this is great. It generates a lot of brand awareness about the personality and the business they are doing. And the third step, once this audience is massaged by these messages and by this content, then we start reaching out to these people who've seen or interacted with the content. Meaning that in your name, like Andy will send a connection request to these people. Then automatically we send them a message, but no sales pitch. We start and open up the conversation about certain topic. We never do sales pitches, and we start to have a conversation on their behalf, and then they book a demo calls. So it's a combination of sales and cold outreach with the demand generation and brand awareness. So the outreach is not cold at all, because we prime their minds. They've seen you already. They're much more willing to talk with you because they've seen you somewhere. So this is our methodology, and it's working quite well. I'm like, knock on the wood, for most of our clients, they are getting great results very quickly, because if you would want to do social selling organically, purely organically, it takes you months and months.
Forever.
It takes you forever.
Yeah.
So this way we combine everything what works great into one package, and it delivers results. So
nice, man.
that's what we do. Yeah,
that's really cool, man. Like, yeah, look, I on the organic growth thing, I've been purely doing organic growth for myself, but starting soon, actually, we'll be doing more with this podcast, for example, putting more cash behind this as an additional venture for Purple Pickle, for example. Like, there's stuff we'll be doing there, but the organic growth thing is slow, super slow.
And especially in April, there were another algorithm change in LinkedIn. Yeah. There's like 50% drop in impressions per post. And it's obvious, because they gave you the option, okay, you want to have this reach, you got to
pay for it. Yeah, so clear. Nah, I mean, it's so predictable, right? Like we all knew that was coming. As soon as they launched the content creator ads, it was like, okay, you're gonna make some change here, which is basically gonna screw everyone organically. But yeah, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. They need to make cash, right? Yeah. But hey, man, that's really cool. I'm super happy to hear for you as well that you've got like your MRR tech thing going on with SaaS Garden, right? Like, you still have SaaS businesses that are being run there, which you can still somewhat get your hands dirty with and help founders out and so on, right? And then you can still also have the services business, which, as you said, is good from a cash perspective. It's easier to build quickly to get to a certain point. It's not very scalable in terms of a tech, right? I have the same problem with what I do, right? But yeah, no, it's super interesting. And also as well, for you, like, coming from the background that you come from, it enables you to sort of use your knowledge and stuff to really help fuel people's success with the service, right? Which is very cool, without having to worry about being a tech CEO, right? Or a SaaS CEO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nice, man. Well, hey, look, thanks so much for your time, and thanks for coming on and getting pickled with me. It's been a lot of fun, man. And
thank you.
Where can people find you, Bo?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn if they're internationally. just Bohumil Pokstefl. That's my real name. Try to pronounce that. But I hope that you will tag me in a
I'll
post,
tag
right?
you, man. I'll tag you.
So,
If I can
so
spell your name, I'll tag you. No, I'm
yeah,
joking, of course, of course.
so they can find me there, or I'm being quite frequent in Prague, in Vienna, in Bratislava, East Coast US. I make trips there as well. I might go to Nathan Latka's SaaS Open in New York. I've been speaking there twice already in the past. It was a great event, one of the best SaaS events I've ever been. I will be in SaaS Talk Dublin, so we might meet there as well. Yeah, there's a lot of great events going around the world.
Man, I will see you at SaaS Stock in Dublin, my friend. I'll be there too,
Ah,
so let's make sure we
nice.
catch up, yeah?
Perfect.
Well, hey, look, guys, this has been an episode, the first episode of the Pickle Juice podcast. Again, Bo, thanks so much for coming on, mate. And I look forward to seeing you soon over in Dublin. And guys, tune in again next week. Thanks, Bo.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thanks.
Cheers.